But guys, I am excited to present Adair Rowan. Adair Rowan is a master media specialist to me. He is a jack of all trades. And when I say jack of all trades, I think he's a master of all trades, not just a jack of all trades. This man can write. This man can do music. This man can do videos. He can do photography. He can do public speaking. He can do so many things that he's going to teach us about studio setup. So I am, as you can see, I'm going to need that training, and we are recording this time from the very beginning. So this Faithcon is moving a little differently, and we're very excited to present this man of God and what he has to offer, and to teach us about becoming an influencer and setting up your own studio. So Adair, I need you to go ahead and take it, brother. Have a good show. Good show.
All righty. Well, first of all, good morning, everybody. It's a blessing to be with you all today, and be at the FaithCon. If you haven't had a chance to check out my book, Concentric Relations, Unknown Ties, get your copy today. Anyway, but no, I like to keep it light because there's a lot of information we kind of want to go through today. It's about setting up your space, one, supporting your writing efforts, but also to talk a little bit about some of the things that you may need if you want to do um, some audio work or video work, because I do audio and video on the side as well. Well, not actually on the side. What I do as my day job is I'm a photographer and videographer as well. So um, there's a lot of different moving elements that you can have in your space that can help you and or hinder you. So we kind of want to talk about that. Do I have? Let me see. Can I share my screen? One of the first things we want to talk about when setting up your space for supporting your writing efforts and or any other media efforts that you want to have is I like to talk about this as like a nurture versus nature type of situation. So it's the environment that you work in. So for instance, for me right now, I am upstairs above my garage. My kids are downstairs in the house with my wife right now. So for me, I need some quiet because I wouldn't be able to actually um, participate in this if my kids were up here because they would just be bouncing all over the place. So I needed to be quiet. Some people like that library quiet. Some people like some ambient noise. That could be, you might have your TV on, a radio station, a streaming service or whatever. And if you're like me, if you're using a streaming service, um, you don't want a bunch of commercials. So me personally, I like to just throw on, my iMusic or whatever, and I don't have to deal with the commercials. But you have your natural sound, and you have the sounds that you choose to interject into your space. So there's just a couple of things there. Also, in your space, it's your physical work location can determine or hinder or help you as well. Let me see real quick. No. So for instance, if you're at home, there are three places typically at home most people tend to work at. That's sitting on the couch, dining room table, or the bedroom. Sitting in the bed, if you have a, what do you call it, adjustable bed that shifts up and down, people tend to do that on their laptop. And so those are three of the typical places, but some of us have been blessed to be able to have a home office. So, my wife has a home office in the house as well. And that's a good place. Sometimes I'll sneak in there in the wee hours instead of coming up to the studio to do some writing or whatnot. But other times I'll just come straight up here. But some of us like our environment to have some hustle and bustle going on, and that's when you might want to dip out and go to a local coffee shop. Or again, if you like the library quiet, but you still need a little bit of noise, the library can be good because you have people walking about. They're not necessarily making a lot of noise, but you don't feel claustrophobic because you're in a broader space. So that could assist you as well um, in your writing. Some people feed off of that energy. There are several types of or times of day that is great for each person's style or each person's energy level for writing. So for me, I'm a wee hours type of person sometimes. A lot of times that's when I write the most is early in the morning when The Lord wakes me up and gives me an idea. I just jump up, I write it down or type it up, and then I'm done with it until the Lord gives me something else. And so I call that grouping a early riser person. Some people are that midday. I call them midday manics. Your creative juices don't really get going until maybe around lunchtime. And so, because I used to be that way when I worked for um, a background investigations company. So my lunch break would be grabbing a sandwich, and it's still not letting me. And I would be writing during my lunch break. Um, some people I would call them the afternoon addict type. What maybe afternoon addict's not the best title, but they're more driven in the afternoon, and they have more energy after lunch, somewhere between like 1 and 3 o'clock, and ideas just kind of flow for them during that time. Others work better in the evening, between I would say 5 and I don't know 9, and I call that group the evening elevators. They're it's just for some reason during that time you're done with the workday. You've had some time to decompress, and so that's a great time to get some writing in. And then I have the night owl nesters, which I've also fallen into that group from time to time, which is in the middle of the night. You just kind of wake up with an idea. Anytime between 9 and midnight is a great time to write as well, because usually if you're at home and you have a family, kids, whatnot, um, that's usually the time when everybody is down for the night. Um, there's a number of tools that you can use for your writing, and we all know the basics. Going to the library it's a great place to one get away and just focus on research. But if you're unable to do that on a regular basis, we have all of the other options, such as, we can Google some things. You can log into a particular service for the specific area of research that you're looking in. But some types of research you can't necessarily do in a library, such as getting real-time responses from an audience. And that's using your social media, where you can check out what are the trends and take some polls. You can ask your audience. You can incorporate um, current social elements into whatever the story is that you're writing. We're all dealing with, what has it been, a year and a half now, almost 2 years now. We've been in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm sure that has affected everyone's writing in some form or fashion. Um, and so, you can't help but kind of touch on it in some way. Um, how you incorporate that into your story, of course, is up to you. But it just shows your readers that you are on the current time. You're taking into account things that are happening right now, unless you're doing a historical piece. Okay. Again, on the fly, using your social media. Of course, you're going to be using your mobile phone if you're out doing your work day, or tablet, maybe a laptop. If you're at work, it could be a desktop computer. I remember when I first kind of started writing some things, I was actually writing it on my computer at work, and then I would have to continue at home. But some of us like the tactile sensation of physical books, paper, pen. And of course, you can use pen and paper, notepad, um, writing books, and they have those reusable notebooks. I don't know if any of you have had an opportunity to use one of those, the Rocket books, where they have a special marker, an ink pen. You write your information in it, and then you can basically wipe it off. But it has little symbols at the bottom of the page, and you set up your cloud service. Can y'all mute your cloud service? And when you take a picture of it, it stores it there for you. And so that's another kind of good tool to have. And then, of course, we have our software that we're using. And these are general things that I'm talking about right now, and then I'll get into some of the more specific things in a little bit. Um, of course, having Word or some sort of a word processor is great. I highly stand by the Microsoft 360 subscription. You have Word, you got Excel, um, and and Shantae actually helped me really with my writing in regards to using Excel. I'm not a big spreadsheet person, but she helped me to understand or grasp the idea of keeping track of the characters, the details of what's going on with those characters. I mean, you need to be, as a writer, even though you may not put it all in your book, but you need to be as specific as possible for your characters when you're writing, so that you don't make the mistake of mixing the details about the characters. So, for instance, keeping track of the characters, their location, their details, height, weight, eye color, color of their hair, when they change the color of their hair, the date, all of these things. You okay? Not sure what happened there. But you need to keep track of that information just so that your writing stay flowing in the same direction. Um, as far as using PowerPoints, that's just great for like right now. But also, it could be a good way to present your work if you're wanting to pitch it somewhere. And you can get responses as well from that. I like using Adobe Acrobat Pro because once you've done your project in Word, you can create a PDF from it and submit it to wherever you want. You can lock the document, which can deter people from stealing your work in the future. And then one of the things we do is, we create our own um, covers for our books. And so I do a lot with Adobe Photoshop. I know there's Canva, there's a number of other services. I think Amazon has a service where you can create the books to theirs as well. But it's a really good playground as far as getting your ideas down image wise to help you, even if that's not what you use for your book cover. It's a great way to compose a general idea, or to give your graphic designer an idea of where the direction you want to go with your cover. If you're not into the Photoshop, there's a huge learning curve and it can be very time consuming. Um, but your graphic designer will probably be more familiar with it. And so if you can give them your ideas, that's typically probably what they're going to use just as to give you a mock up for your cover designs. So moving on into the podcasting setup. So I mean, today we have gone back to work, but we're still doing a number of things from home. We're doing our virtual Faithcon from home as well. So it's good to have a decent podcasting setup. Um, Most of our computers, desktop type or laptops, have a built-in camera. But depending on your budget and the look that you want to go for, you can use an external camera. Um, but that'll come with some additional things that you may need, such as a video uh, transition board. You may need multiple cameras. It really just depends on what it is that you want to, what is it you're trying to do. If you're presenting something, you want multiple angles, you want to show a product as well as show yourself, your interaction, a lot of different elements that comes into that. And then also you can either do it live or you can record it, edit it, and put it up in post, do all your edits and add effects and all that, and then upload it. One of the things you'll definitely want to take into mind to that, and I don't know if right now if anybody's having any issue with hearing what I'm saying, but I do know that sometimes um, the built-in microphones they're not always the greatest. And so I use an external audio mixer, um, and I'm using a wireless lapel microphone setup, and there are various different types of audio setups that you can use. Most of the time, you're going to need a preamp because there's always an issue with your sounding flat, and so you may need to adjust that a little bit. And then there's also what type of microphone are you using, whether it's omnidirectional, unidirectional. So omnidirectional is it catches sound in every direction, which means if you are standing in a room and there's an air conditioning unit, a vent above you, you're typically going to hear that in your audio because you're going to hear the sound of the air blowing through the vent. So that's omnidirectional. Your unidirectional is the microphone picks up in one direction only. Those are really useful on video cameras that may be 5 to 7, maybe 8 feet away from you. Those are good, but they aren't the best. I still would prefer, like I'm using the lapel mic because it's right on you. It's going to pick you up clearly. It's still unidirectional because it's kind of capturing from this direction. And so you're not getting as much ambient sound in your audio. And these are just some of the things that you can use if you're using external items. So for instance here, this is the microphone setup. This is the newer version. This is the Sennheiser 112 lavalier microphone. I'm using a Sennheiser 100 microphone setup. So this is the newer version. Um, this is actually the actual audio unit that I'm using right now. So my microphone is plugged into this audio board, which is going into my computer. And I'm not using an external camera, but these are two of the cameras that I actually do use on a regular basis. So this is a Sony PXW-X70, and this is a Nikon Z5. And of course, this is not where you need to go out and spend a whole lot of money. These are just what I use, but again, I do photography and video regularly, so I'm going to spend a little bit more money because people pay me to do this. So, but you don't necessarily have to go this route. There are cameras like this Z5 runs you about, well, I believe it's like $1,300, but you can get a pretty decent camera right now for about $500 to shoot video work on. But again, it's not necessary. It just depends on what you want to do, and you want to have the option to pick up and go somewhere else and record something. So versus just doing it on your laptop. Another thing, and this is great, Shantae, because you were talking about this, is for the voice recording, for doing audio books, or even in doing the podcasting. I saw this the other day and I was like, man, if I had an extra, 15 grand, uh, this here is a company called Whisper Room, and basically you buy a box that has you have to put it together, but it's a multi-layered box, a room and it comes in several sizes. I think the cheapest one I saw was roughly about $5,000, but it has the soundproofing that goes up on the walls, and then you run your microphone, your audio setup into the box, and it's great for if you are in an area where there's a lot of stuff going on outside. This will kill that sound so that it's complete silence around you, and the only sound is what's in your booth. And so these are definitely something that we may have to consider in the layout of the spot. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Another great thing to have when you're doing, if you're going to get into the video side of things, is the teleprompter. And it's a great thing because it allows you to sit down, write out your thoughts beforehand, and stay within a time frame. Okay, so you can set your speed, you can set the size of your font, you set that with your camera. I've actually used it with my cell phone, a smaller version of it, but this is actually a teleprompter that I actually have. I simply plug my camera into the back, lay my tablet on the front with the software on it, import the text, and hit record, and I'm off and running. And these are great. It keeps you within a time frame. It keeps you on topic, and it allows you to build up a library of topics that you want to discuss. I would say fairly quickly. I mean, you could literally, put in 6 scripts, record one back to back to back to back to back, and you can save them and then post them at the time you want to release them. And that, I mean, I love it. If you are not necessarily a strong reader, like not necessarily strong, I would say a fast reader, this may not necessarily be the best for you. But again, you can adjust the speed. You can go fast. You can go slow. It just kind of depends on you. I know Shantae talks pretty fast, so I know she could get through a lot of information fairly quickly um, using this. But I know also speaking versus reading something that you're saying doesn't always click as quickly. So, but again, you can play around with the speed. But I love it. I've done several videos using it, and I actually have a friend of mine, well, a family member that recently came by and was like, "Oh, yeah, send me the information for the one you have," and so I think he went out and bought it. Another thing you have to be cognizant of if you're going to do any video work, um, and listen, all this is in support of your writing, in support of you trying to build an audience for your work, right? So people need to be able to see you, right? So we need lighting. These are a couple of lights, and there are none of this is you have to get this one. This is just what I have on hand, items that I can personally speak about because I use them. So for instance, this light here, I have two of them up high. They're shining on my back walls, which I have painted chroma green, which allows my Faithcon graphic to be overlaid in the back. I mean, unfortunately, I have a window here, so kind of threw that off. But so you can't see the full graphic, but I can't paint the curtains. But anyway, um, but those are pretty big lights. They're I believe it's 10 by 12, and they cast actually a lot of light. But those lights aren't actually on me. This light on the right, I have two of those. I have them. They're not even 3 feet away from me. They're set on probably about 60%. So I'm a little shiny. Um, but you can see me clearly. You can get all my expression. You can tell, if I'm in a good mood, if I'm happy, or whatnot. But the lighting is always a key thing when you're shooting any video work, because if you have poor lighting, people are gonna say, "Oh, yeah, they were talking about something, but I couldn't see them," or the lighting was bad. People are gonna nitpick, so you definitely want to take some of the things they want to nitpick about off of the tape. Um, yeah, so at this point, I'll open up the floor if you have any questions about any of the items that I talked about so far, thus far, because that is the end, because this is just my plethora of information.
That was awesome, Adair. Oh, I like that. Yes, by all means, check out these titles. Oh, that looks good. Adair, so you talked a little bit about lighting. I did buy some little lights for the table here for today. It's only $30 on Amazon. So it's like, so you're recommending the best quality lights for the cheapest cost. But what do the different colors do? Like you said, one color allows what, but I got a little circle for red lights and blue lights. What do they do?
Right.
Like
Okay.
this is these little lights
Right.
here.
So
What do
so
they
they
do?
they simulate the different lighting of the day. So for instance, early in the morning, and usually, yeah, it's usually early in the morning. The light's a little more blue. As the sun comes up, it goes more in towards the yellow and then into the white, and then as it goes down, it hits that orange. That it's not called orange. It's uh, the words on the tip of my tongue. Amber. Sorry, it's more of an amber. So that yellow, that yellow light. So it depends on. So for instance, what it really comes into play in is, say for instance, you're using green screen, but your background is a particular place or location. So what you end up trying to do is the lighting on you matches the lighting for the location of your background image, right? So if you had a picture of the beach, a sunny beach, and you use the blue light cover, that's not going to match because it's a wrong time of day for that beach shot. Okay, so that those are, I mean, the average person doesn't is not even thinking about that. They're probably not even going to use those. They're just going to turn the light on and go for it. But these are things that if you're cognizant of your lighting choices and what your background is, it can make your videos pop, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Thank you. I think Pastor Andrea had her hand up. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, I do. I have a quick question about you mentioned the teleprompters,
yes.
and I know you said some of those items are expensive, and you mentioned about sometimes you use your phone. Now, is it certain phones that have that particular feature
No. Okay.
on them?
No. Okay. So one, what? And I'm sorry, and maybe I didn't clarify that. When I said I was using my phone, I was using the phone to video record.
Okay.
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 But and I actually have it right here. I actually have the teleprompter. This teleprompter actually is not very expensive. Not,
Okay.
at least as far as what I believe, because I've seen teleprompters run you $1,000 or
Okay.
higher. This costs about $130.
Okay.
Now, if you're not using an external camera, which I don't have one right in front of me, I'd have to leave the space. Oh, no, actually I do. Where I put it? Sorry. Here we go. So, here we go. So if you're using, now this is a Nikon 3300, and it shoots video, and it shoots pretty
Okay.
good video. This camera runs you about $500 if you can find. Like now, everything is moving to mirrorless, and those are the $1,200 and up cameras.
Mm-hmm.
But if you happen to find one of these, and even the Canon cameras, they record in a MVI format, which then you have to convert them or whatnot. The Nikon cameras record, if you're using a Apple product, they record an MOV file, and the
Okay.
newer ones actually recorded directly in the MP4. So you would basically mount this on the teleprompter stand, and it's behind the 60/40 mirror glass. And what it does is, while you're recording, you're seeing from your tablet, or it's usually going to be a tablet, is what you're going to use that's going to have your text.
Okay.
Now, the software that runs that, there's one called Parrot. I use it because it basically is free. It's a free software. But you can get a little remote for about $20 on Amazon that'll run the software. You Bluetooth connect it to the tablet, and that'll give you your start and stop
Okay.
for your text. So if you're talking, somebody asks a question, you need to pause. You can pause and then respond, and then go back to playing your text so that you can continue with your topic.
Okay.
But as far as recording on my phone, though, I have actually sat my phone. There's a little adapter you can get, and you put it on. Sorry, I have stuff. I was moving stuff around, so I gotta have stuff everywhere. But
Okay.
you can get a cold shoe, and then you get this little adapter. It has a little screw hole at the bottom, and I have my phone here. But you basically mount your phone, and you can actually
Okay.
plug this onto the teleprompter stand, and then you can hit record and then go stand in front of the camera, because
Okay.
your phone will track the face anyway.
Right.
So once you step in front of the camera, it's gonna be looking for the face, and then you
Mm-hmm.
just say read your text.
Okay.
So I mean,
Okay.
it's really, like I said, the software, Parrot software, and I think I had that on here. Let me go back, or maybe I took it out. No, okay, I did. I took it off. But the Parrot software is free. The remote for it, like I said, it's somewhere between $15 and $20.
Okay.
And you don't have to use Parrot. I just feel like it's free. Why pay
Okay.
for it if you don't have to? There's some additional teleprompter software that you could get, but you know, it's up to you. You might like something else better. I like it. It works.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
but yes, but this particular one, like I said, it was about $130. And I actually saw it this morning. Uh, and I think it's still running about 130. Some of them,
Okay.
and they can go up from there. And then also there are smaller teleprompters for specifically using a mobile device like a cell phone.
Okay.
And those can run anywhere from, I would say, $40 up to $100 roughly.
Okay.
So you have a lot of different options that you can do. And like for me, I'm going to show you this here. I have a lot of different things that I use, so I can mount this same thing on here. If you want to shoot video on the run, get your
Okay.
little mount, boom, mount it there, put your camera on it. Now you've got, people pay hundreds of dollars for a stabilizer. You are the stabilizer.
Okay. There it
You
is.
know,
Okay.
it's a lot of, it's a lot of little tricks that you can get away with not breaking the bank.
Okay. Great ideas. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
So, dear, we're about to go on the radio soon. We start recording next Wednesday,
Mhm.
and I'm very excited about that. So, can you tell us a little bit about how your setup will aid us on the radio? Because I know we'll be sending in pre-recorded shows. So we can send in pre-recorded shows, or we can actually record in the studio. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of both. So how will your setup aid us in that radio station format?
Okay, so as far as the radio station format, um, it's really not. I mean, my setup wasn't specifically designed for that, but because I'm using a lapel mic, it works. And because I can record not necessarily live, I mean, even like what we're doing right now, I could be recording, like we're recording the the Faithcon, but you can actually take that audio and strip it from the total video and submit that if you want. But as far as my particular setup, um, I actually have options. So I'm using a lapel mic. I actually have the stand that I have my tablet on right here. I can actually put a posable mic stand on and run a hard mic. Um, I'm not going to plug it all up, but I have, a handheld microphone. There's also the studio style microphones that you would normally see in like a radio studio, which are those big kind of bulky ones with the rubber skeleton around it. That's to kind of cut down on vibration noise from if you're moving around, hitting your desk. You don't want that sound coming through on what you're doing. Um, but I mean, I have that as an option, and as I talked about the whisper room, there is a cheaper way to do yourself a whisper room, which the you can buy the foam squares and basically just kind of soundproof a space. And they basically are just a little adhesive squares. I think they are 1 foot by 1 foot. Some of them may be 2 feet by 2 feet, but I think they're normally about 1 foot by 1 foot. And you basically just stick them to your wall in the space and it just deadens the sound, so you don't get a lot of reflecting sound. So I'm not sure how it's sounding to you right now, but I'm sitting in front of a hardwood desk, so um, there may be some kind of what we call like a tinny sound if I was using a regular mic, because there would be that reflection of the sound. But because I'm using the lavalier mic, which is actually pointed up, it's not pointing toward a hard surface, so there shouldn't be a lot of refracting sound back at me. But the biggest thing about the setup that would be good for the radio station is my audio board, the M Audio Air, and they did not pay us for this. But the one that I have, it just has two. It really has two inputs. I think there is a 4 and a 6 input unit, but that would allow you to have multiple people while you're doing your recording. Um, I mean, if you're it's just going to typically be two people, then you don't actually need to do more than that. I think this one, when I bought it, I think it was about 150 bucks, and I caught it on sale on Amazon. Um, but it has really good sound. It has a good preamp built in, and if I want to record, live or direct, it's pretty good.
Wow. Okay. Well, Adair, this is really exciting. I mean, I tell you what, if you've missed the beginning of Adair's presentation on setting up your studio in your own home, be sure to let me know. You can message us through our Zoom should have sent you a link to log in. So you should have our email address. If you don't have it, it's Midwest Creations Publishing, or Midwest Creation Publishing at gmail.com, and we will be happy to send you a link to this recording so you can catch the presentation in its entirety. I love your setup right there. I really do. And it looks like, because again, we want to do our own audio books pretty soon. So that looks like the best kind of setup for what we want to do in the future, because that's where we're going. We do have one of our audiobooks in recording status now with CJ. She's recording The Hater's Prayer, so I'm very excited about that. But if anybody wanted to buy all of these items, where would they go? What's the cheapest way to get these items? And do they do a piecemeal, or should they buy certain things grouped together because they're necessary together? Should they acquire the equipment?
I mean, really, unfortunately, Amazon has a lock on. It's a lot of times the cheapest way to get a lot of stuff. Um, I mean, but if you happen to, like, for instance, um, I mean, Best Buy is going to have some things, of course. What's the one in Micro Center may have some items, and then what's the other one? It's not Micro Center. It's better to piecemeal because you can control your costs, and you only have to get what you need, like, right away. Um, oh, I just saw a message. Do you provide setup services? I mean, I can tell you the items is really not a lot of setup. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. May increase the items that you need. So for instance, as I said, cost wise, a lot of these things you can find on Amazon, and you can piecemeal it together depending on the space that you're working in and what you're trying to do. For instance, I have a whole nother section of my studio space that is full stand up for doing pictures and shooting video, um, where I have lights in the ceiling, shooting down. I have all of that stuff, so I can kind of help you as far as setting up your diagram for your space. Preferably, this particular space to me is it has low ceilings, so I can't have a person pretty much taller. If they're taller than me, we're gonna have to go somewhere else. I mean, I'm 6'3" and I have 8 foot ceilings, so the lighting in that space is. I mean, if we're sitting down, we're great, but if we're standing up, it's you got to do a lot playing with the camera angles. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with helping set up or diagramming out what you may need for your space. As Shantae says, she has a ring light. I actually bought a ring light for my wife because she was doing a lot of um, video conferencing from home. And so, but then she hasn't used it yet, so who knows? But anyway, um, but yeah, I mean, the smaller lights that I'm using here, they're 25, $30 a piece. Now, the issue is with the smaller lights, and with all of these lights, are whether you're using hardline power versus battery power. That's one thing to take into account, because if you're using hardwired, which means they're physically plugged in, there's an adapter that you have to purchase, and that can run you, 25 to $50 depending on where you get it from. So, and you'll need one for each light. So and all of my lights are hard plugged in. But if I need to go somewhere, I have backup. I have actual batteries that I keep on charge in case I need to, if I'm doing a wedding or something and I need light, I take those lights with me. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say piecemeal it together based on what you're trying to do and how quickly you need it. The lights, I mean, you can get those and they can just sit on your shelf until you're ready to move on to the next thing. But you definitely want to get your sound right. Like I said, the M Audio Air is pretty nice. They have a couple of different options that'll range you anywhere from 130 something to maybe $200, something around there, maybe 300. Um, as far as the microphone, I mean, you don't have to buy a lavalier set, but you will need an XLR cable and the XLR to lavalier adapter so that it's a hardline microphone. I mean, that's another option to use. Um, yeah, and of course you want to have headphones so you can check your sound. It's always a good thing to make sure that you got good sound going in your system and coming out. So yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you. That's a really good question for those of us who don't have a whole lot of money and we want to start acquiring this stuff. It's good to know what we need to get first and second. Like, should I buy soundproofing first or should I buy microphones first? If I wanted to do it slowly but surely,
Well, I mean, the good thing about it,
that kind of thing.
The good thing is that starting out, your show can always, whatever you're doing can always improve. So first and foremost, if I would focus on good mic and good audio board, a microphone and audio connection, and then because you can start out with just the podcast type setup where it's just the audio. You can just pop up a picture for your podcast, and then your audio's playing. And then as you move along, you can use your desktop computer's camera to start out, and then as you know decide what direction you want to go, you can buy an additional camera or not. I happen to think I'm using my Mac, and I think the camera on it is pretty good. But I also know the difference between the camera desktop and my, you know, mirrorless camera as well as my Nikon 750 camera. So, but then I also know that even though everybody says it's 4K and 8K, when it's online, it's all HD. It's all HD. So, um, you know, as long as you've got good lighting, so I would say audio first, then start on your lighting, and then worry about your camera. So that I think that would be the better order. Because even if you're using your desktop camera, laptop camera, if you've got decent lighting, you're pretty good. And then if you want to just upgrade the quality of your video, then that's when you go to the additional camera options. And I mean, some people will set up a GoPro because those are pretty nice too. Now, if you got a camera that shoots video right now, like I said, you can use your cell phone, but plug a mic into it so that you're not getting, the neighbor's dog barking and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. You know what? Because I think that was the most important thing to me. Because like Mickey, I know Mick has a light, Mick has a camera, and you sent us a light, and it's awesome. But it's like I didn't have a tripod for setting it up, and these came with tripods, so it's like okay, so now I have the option of using the light that you sent us, Adair, or using the ring lights or what have you. And so Mick set up the ring lights this morning, but I know I have that option of plugging in that square light. So I'm guessing the more lighting, the better. And if it's, nope, not true.
Necessarily.
Is what?
I mean, not
Okay,
necessarily
go ahead.
because you can have too much light and your image is blown out. So it's just
Oh,
more about if you're using multiple lights, it's more about placement and the power of the lights.
I
So, for instance,
see.
I'm gonna turn off one of my closer ones. So if I just got one light, I've got so much more shadow on one side of my face than the other. And I got this good shiny spot, but that's because my lights are really close. Um, but and I can adjust. So if I have my lights turned all the way up, this is what pretty much what I'm just gonna look like. And unfortunately, but unfortunately, my Mac tries to adjust for everything. So okay, this is probably about a good place. So this is, I think, I would say that they're about 3 feet away from my face. I'm not as shiny because I slid back just a little bit in my space. But when I sit directly up
Okay.
on them, I'm shiny. I'm super shiny. And I mean, I don't have super oily skin, but I do have a bald head pretty much. So, um, you know, so it's not necessarily. It's really about the adjusting of your light and knowing how to position yourself in the light. So if you're too close, you're going to have super shiny, hard, what they call hard light spots, or it's going to be kind of blown out. If you go too far back, you're almost a spot, and you can't really see a lot of expression. So you kind of want to find that sweet spot. Um, Again, if you're using the ring lights are really good because it's not direct in one spot. It's kind of spaced out, so it kind of evens you all around. But if you're using separate lights, and even with, I mean, if you're using separate ring lights, those are great as well because it still kind of diffuses the light a little bit more. But if you're using, like I'm using hard, square lights, it's just really about positioning and the level that you turn the light up at. And it's good to have backlighting. So the larger lights that I have that are hitting the back wall is great because it separates me from the back, which allows me to use the green screen function here. But if there
I
was no
see.
separation, then what would tend to happen is, like, if you can see the edges on my other desk behind me, as I move about, it kind of shifts back and forth. That's because of how, that's really close to that wall, so the computer is trying to compensate in real time, so it's kind of fluctuating, but I'm still separate from it. And I mean, I could take that off and just do the blur function, and it would just be those colors behind me. But you know, yeah, you need some
Okay.
backlighting if you can. I mean, but
Good.
it also depends on the space that you're in. So, for instance, if I had nothing behind, like if this was a straight wall behind me, then I could get away with not necessarily having the backlighting. It would just really be about the placement of the front lights, making sure that they're at a specific angle so that the computer is compensating for the background. It would still separate me because I'm closer to the camera. And that's just, I mean, that's just a little bit of, it's a little bit of trial and error to get it just right. There's no, okay, if you're using this particular one, you need to sit at this distance or at that distance. It's really, you kind of got to play around with it to figure out what works best for your specific setup.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Are there any other questions? Is there anything in the chat at all? Anybody? No. All right, Adair. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And again, guys, we have this presentation recorded for you. Oh, Adair.
Hold on, I just
Go
saw
ahead.
another question. The green screen. Why do you have to do
Oh,
that? Okay, so the green screen it's a preference. It just depends on what you're trying to do. So, for instance, so today I'm actually turn mine off so you can see. Uh, uh, Okay, so if I don't, because of the way I have the room painted specifically in the chroma green, this is what it would look like without green screen. It's kind of drab without using the function. It's just a green wall and everything else is there. But the green screens allows you to throw a graphic up. So for instance, if you're not, say you're not shooting a beach, you're
I
not doing
created
anything in
another one.
front of
Could
the
you make
beach.
another one too?
If you
You
are,
want another picture?
um, I don't know, say
Oh,
you want to,
another one. I
you
want
want
a
to
different
do,
one to run
I'll
each
give you,
hour,
I'll give you a great. If you want to do a video about the vaccine,
or just two different ones, and you could
so
just
you
flip
want
them
to,
back and forth and run.
so you'll set up your graphic for
Okay,
your
I'll
background,
get it to you.
and then that allows you to give your video a more polished look as far as looking like you're sitting in a news studio. I mean, it's just a preference. You don't have to use green screen, but it's definitely a cooler option.
Just if you want them in a certain order. Your mic says. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Did that answer your question, Pastor Andrea? Okay, great. And I mean, and you weren't able to. I don't think. I think you. I'm not sure. Was that Pastor Andrea on the one we did the last time? Because I think on that one, I think we had multiple people. Basically, like I like to do the virtual backgrounds one to kind of add some continuity. So if I'm gonna do um, um, several people, we're gonna be doing a conversation like this, and everybody has a space, and they have either a green screen or a flat wall that they can. And the green screen, listen, you don't have to paint it. You can use a plastic green tablecloth. You can get like I think they come in like packs of 5 or something. I don't know, at like Dollar General or something, and basically use push pins and sit them up on the wall. You just want to make sure that it's flat and that you don't have a light hitting it like directly, like going in the same direction from your camera, going straight back and coming, and the light reflecting right back. You want the light to be kind of going down so that you don't get that back in the camera, and it'll work just as well. I painted my walls because I'm always that's just me. I can't. I can say that's just me. I like working with green screens, so I was like, I'm not gonna. I can always put up a different background in my studio space. I have pipe and drape and all that kind of stuff, um, but I was like, I could just paint the wall green, and then if I decide I want to be the weatherman for the day and shoot a video, I can put whatever behind me and shoot that video, and it'll look like I'm wherever it is. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. So, well, not specifically. So the question was, so this has nothing to do with just changing your regular background through Zoom. Not specifically. So, so in Zoom, the functions are to blur your background, don't do any effects at all, or use the green screen basically. And so, and it's not just Zoom. I think Microsoft's Teams has that same function, and I'm not sure of the other services. Those are two I'm familiar with. But in Zoom, it's good if you don't want people to see everything that's in the space that you're working in. I mean, it just provides you, um, your level of comfort. If I mean, it just really is. You just want to have a polished look. That's it's really all about what is the look that you are trying to portray to your audience at the time. If you're because it's totally different if you're on your phone and you're in your car. I mean, people know you're in your cars. You hear everything going by you. But if you're set up, you're going to have an event. You want to make it kind of fancy. You want to add your graphics. Let me move my tablet out of the way. Shut up, Siri. Uh, there. So I got Faithcon 2021. So I mean, you can add that graphic in and use it as your background. And then if you have your guests, you can send them all the same graphic and personalize it to them. It would still have Faithcon 2021, but it may say, you know, Shantae, owner, publisher, writer, da 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 da. You can have all of that information listed. So it's really up to the image that you're trying to portray, and how polished you want your video to look. Any questions, Miss Katrina? I see you, girl.
No questions, but I was looking on my Zoom video. I was trying to see if I could change my virtual background, but I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
Well, I don't have any to choose from.
You can choose you should have a blur function.
Oh.
That just blurs your.
Some computers have that option and some don't.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, and then there is a difference between the Windows computers versus Apple computers as well. There's some different functionality there, but I mean, you know, like for instance, I think that looks like you're in the bedroom, a bedroom,
yes,
spare bedroom. So if you didn't want necessarily for the bed to be in the shot behind you, if there's a wall that you could turn your computer to where that wall is directly behind you, then the issue with the green screen function is if you don't use a solid color that is high contrast to you. So for instance, the walls behind you, if you plugged on your green screen function right now, the walls is up behind you and there would be some really weird stuff going on because of the color of your walls versus your skin color are fairly close from what I can see. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. So you would get this weird, whatever you had in your background would be showing up.
Yeah.
Right? And so you don't want that. So you want a high contrast, something that's totally different from your skin. So usually there's going to be a solid red, a solid dark blue, or the chroma green. Those are usually the best colors for that because typically you're not wearing those colors. Okay. And like I said, you can paint your wall. You get a small can of paint and do a section of your wall that just kind of fits in your camera's range, or you can get like I said, a plastic tablecloth, or it don't have to be plastic. You know, if you want to spend $50 and get a real tablecloth material that's actual, and push pin it up on the wall, and it works. And you can put any graphic up behind you that you have on your computer, any picture, family, kids, cousins. You took a picture. When I go walking, I like to take pictures of the sky and the clouds and stuff like that. So
that's a good idea.
I do that kind of stuff, and I have that stuff just sitting on my computer. So depending on what I'm doing, I may plug in one of those pictures. Oh, I think we're in time to somebody else's presentation.
Yeah. It is time for our Writers Boot Camp. Thank you, Adair. This was excellent. You have been very exciting, guys. Adair, tell them what your contact information is, your social media contacts really quickly, so that if they want to engage you or ask more advice, they can contact you or get more information. Excuse me.
Okay. My personal contact information is arowan89. It's AROWAN 89 at gmail.com. And then in regards to photo and video work, my professional information is Adaro Photography, which is ADAURO Photography. And that's on Facebook, it's Adaro Photography. On Instagram, it's Adaro Photo. Yeah, and you can check me out at adarophotography.com. It's also under Fervent Designs, which is a company that does wedding planning design. I'm one of the official photographers for them. Yeah. But feel free. Awesome. I mean, just let me know. Like if you send me a message and it's regard just I was on Faithcon. I think I can remember everybody's name that's on here right now. So But just definitely just indicate it was regarding Faithcon question. I'll be happy to provide any information I can help.
Well, thank you, there. That was awesome. Guys, again, if you are tuning in and you would like a copy of or a link to the recordings, just message me, email me, or you can contact Dare and let him know, and Dare will let me know, and we will get you the link to this recording. That was so exciting and really necessary for us.